So the Alter Rebbe explained how it works in the physical, how the soul expands into the body. It's not the essence of the soul. The essence of the soul it's all included as one. It's not like different parts. But then when it comes mispashet, it evolves from the seichel to the midos to the machshava dibur ma'aser. V'kocho k'chol hamoshel hazeh, and likewise as all of the example that we gave the moshel, who inyan b'chinas ishtalshelus achayis me'erin sobaruchu. That's the idea, the way the energy from the infinite light evolves, lahachyos kol ha'olamos b'chinas memala kol almim, to vitalize the world in the level that fills the world. As right now we're concentrating on the level of memala kol almim, and later on we'll see sovev kol almim. But this moshel of the nefesh that it comes down in each one of the limbs and the body is full of it is the example, is the metaphor for memala kol almim. Kinei ksiv, for the verse states, Ato hu Hashem levadecha, Ato sisos hashemayim shmei hashemayim. While Ato hu Hashem levadecha, you are alone, you are beyond, but yet you created the shemayim and shmei hashemayim. From the level of atzmus, Hashem levadecha, comes asisa shemayim shmei shemayim about pirush levadecha. What does it mean levadecha? Shehu levadei yizbarich yachid umiyuchad. That Hashem is alone. He is one and only, singular and only. The lav the isloch tzedek yidiyah. Quoting from the Pasuk Eliyahu, you don't have a known righteous, what we know tzedek. This is all the news of there. It's not part of the midas. Hashem is levadecha. Hashem is levade. He is beyond. He is not tzedek, and midas are not part of who he is. But yet, still, ato asisas hashemayim chulu. But yet, Hashem creates the heavens, etc. The Hainu, his pashtus gedulas ein sof baruch hu, that is the expansion of the greatness of Ein Sof. L'mayla den kates, to high to no end, ulamata den tachlis, and to low no finish. Meaning, Hashem's greatness goes into the furthest heights and to the lowest. All this is gedula, is his pashtus. Ein ze elo b'chinas his pashtus bilvad. B'chinas ha'or v'ziv. This is only an expansion in a way of a shine and a ray. That's not the Ein Sof. That is Atohu Shem Levadecha. This is Ato Sisas Shemayim. Hashem uses sort of the midas of Malchus to create the world. Ki Malchuscha Malchus Kol Elam. For the level of Malchus is the kingdom of all worlds, which means everything receives from the level of Malchus. That level of Malchus is only a name. That's a ray, that's a hara, that's a name. Mamer, like we say in the davening, we say, V'naskir Shimcha, we'll remember your name. We mention your name. What does it mean when we say name? Name means it's only the name of Hashem, but it's not Hashem himself. Just like by a person, the name is not the essence of the person. We call the person by the name. But yet, when you call him by the name, the person turns to it. So the Hainu. Kimoi Shem Ha'adam Sheyikru Lo B'Shmoi. the name of the person, if you call him by the name, and he responds, that he goes and he turns to the one who calls him. And likewise it says with regards when they bought Cain and Hevel, they bought the gifts to Hashem. It says, Vayisha Hashem el Hevel ve'el minchase. Hashem turned to Hevel and his gift. Basically, so that means that Hashem is turning to the responding. What means that he turns and he extends chayis to the creations. So that comes through the level of Malchus and Ziv, which Hashem turns and gives them. V'hu, and this is the same idea, Yochid, Chei Ha'olam Melech. While Hashem is Yochid, and the life of the world is Melech, Pirush. Shehu Atzmei Yizborech Yochid U'Miyuchad Levadeh. That Hashem is one and only by himself. Rak Chei Ha'olamim. Dahainu Chayis V'Kiyum Ha'olamos. The vitality and the sustaining of the world of Mechanis Melech Olam. Level of Malchus, level of Melech. V'hinei Hamshocha v'Yispashtuzu. This extension, this expansion, you can say there are madregas that goes in the order of the steps. From one step to the other step. In the world of Atzilus, Ihu v'chayohi chad. Over there, him, Hashem, and his chayis, the energy of the world of Atzilus, is chad, is one, which means over there Hashem is the infinite blessed, he is united, complete fusion, complete together. Similar, by way of example, is Achdus Nefesh Hamaskeles Im Koyach HaSeichel HaMispashet Mimenu Kenal, as the union of the soul that understands with the power of the soul that expands from the soul, it becomes one. Ki Atzilus u'Bechinas Chochma. For Atzilus is the level of Chochma. It has all the spheres, but the general sphere, the general dominating sphere in Atzilus is Chochma. Shazen Nemar, that's what we say on Atzilus, we say Kulam b'Chochma Siso, that you have made them with Chochma. That refers to the Olam HaAtzilus. Meshikosu be'etz Chaim, Shar Mem Zayin Perik Gimel. Shazen Nemar. And on this world of Atzilus, it says, Godel Hashem Umuhulam Mi'oid. Hashem is great and is very praised. His greatness we can't investigate. And there is no number to his understanding, meaning it's beyond the grasp. So that's Atzilus. And then in the world of the Seraphim, so that is in the level of Bria. So over there we say, over there is 1,000 times, 1,000 thousands, and 10,000 times 10,000. And yet, while there is numbers, is there then a number? The Apostle says to all the battalions. Each battalion is quoted in referencing the Gemara, as he always does. Each battalion may have lots of tens of thousands, but there's an endless amount of battalions. And from there it goes more, expands more. Liyos moine mispar laki chavim. Over there already, there is a number to the stars, which is the next step. Uksiv, the pasuk says, he takes them out in numbers. The armies is hamoitzi, is loshen hamoitzi mirshus hayochid mirshus rabin. That's the language. Hamoitzi, as we start the Sechta Shabbos, one takes out from the Yochid Rishus Rabin, which means Hamoitzi takes them out from Atzilus. Kirishus Hayochid, who Olam Atzilus, Ihu V'chayoid. Over there in the world of Atzilus, Hashem and his life, said before, and his energy is Chad, Ihu V'chayoid Chad. Umishom Yiporet Beribu is Chalkus HaMadreges. And from there is Hamoitzi, many different Madreges, Ma'ela Mad'elam, from one world to the next world, in order to be, that becomes the public domain, to the Pruda. So what does this say in the end of the pasuk? It says, so that's the pasuk over there. It says, from the power, no one is missing. Ish lo neder, no one is missing. So basically, what we're saying over here, pirush lo neder bebchinas bitl, that nothing is lacking from the level of bitl. So while there is a big descent, and it's moitzi for Rosh Yochid Rabin, but lo neder shezeu klal b'chol sitra di kedusha. This is a rule in all of the side of kedusha. V'afilu b'madreges tachtonim, and even in the level of the lower, nimshach b'chinas bitl hayesh b'chol olam l'fi madregosei. The subjugation of the entity extends to every world according to their levels. There has to be the level of bitl. So that's what ish lo neder. It's nothing lacking, while it's a lower level, but still there is the level of bitl hayesh that has to be. If it's kedusha, it needs to be bitl hayesh, because no bitl hayesh is not kedusha. Because this is all the first level that we're discussing up till now. That's the level that fills the world. That is Keseder Hishtalshus Hamadreges. That is the order of the evolution of the steps as it goes. Ois Gimel. But the second level, that's the level that surrounds the world. The previous level is Mimale Kolalmin, fills the world. The next level is Seviv Kolalmin, surrounds the world. What does it mean, surrounds the world? The Hainu, that is, Sheseviv Makif Kulu Almin Bashvo Achas. He circles and surrounds all worlds equally. Bashvo Achas. Hashova Mashve, quoting Moshe, saying the davening, it says Hashova Mashve Kot Begod, which makes everything straight, equal. Unlike Hishtalshulus, goes from the higher to the lower, from Atzilus, from we learned before, from Moichin to Midas to Machshava Dibra Maisa. This is a oir which is equally by everyone, by all. This, as it extends, it's only surround and it's obscure, it's hidden. So talking about the person, that level of Seviv Kolam does not come an inner revelation in the mind and the heart of the person. Why? There is no thought, cannot influence you in an inner way because you can't really connect with it, because no thought can grasp him at all. Because this extends from the essence of the blessed light of the Ein Sof, which is beyond the definition of the world. Quoting from the Pasuk, Hashem did not change, which means higher. The world is not engaged. He's not engaged in the world, so there's no change in the world. And there is no thing to compare to Hashem. That's like a drop of the ocean, of the Okionus, one drop. So we cannot even have any ability to get and connect with it. There isn't in the power in any created being who is renewed from ex nihilo into existence, from ayin, from nothingness into a yesh. She cannot contain that revelation, this light, so he will not become totally non-existent. In other words, if you did receive it and it did impact you, you would cease to exist and you would lose your existence because it would be too powerful. So then you might ask, okay, so what does it mean that I have Seviv Kulam? Okay, you say you can't relate to it. It cannot impact you because if it does, you cease to exist. And the way you stand over there, you can't grasp it. And the answer is it touches you in a way of a makif. It touches you in a way, in a surrounding way. He's going to tell us as we find in the Navi over there, that some matters, even though you don't see it, but yet it impacts you in a makif, in a way of makif, not in an inner way. But still, our sages of blessed memory tell us the afal gav the ihu loy chozi mazlei chozi. Although you may not see because you don't grasp, but your mazel sees. What is this mazel? Mazel means the source of your neshama, because there is a part of the neshama which remains not dressed in the body. That part is able to see certain things that mazel and bring down into the soul that is in the body to influence it in a subconscious, in a mysterious, hidden, surrounding way. So we see this is the story that our sages tell us that sometimes you don't see, but your mazel sees. That was by the story of Daniel, it was Daniel, and there were the others with him. Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah were there. And there it says, so Daniel says, only me, I saw the vision. But the other people were with me. They didn't see. But the great fear fell upon them. So the Gemara over there in Sanhedrin says, since they didn't see, so why did they get scared? It says, they didn't see, but they trembled, a great fear of them. But if they didn't see, so why did they get scared? And the Gemara answers, Mishum the Mazlayu Chazu, because their mazel saw. Pirush Mazlayu. What is the meaning of Mazlayu? Miloshin, that comes from the Loshin of Yizal Mayim Midolye. That means the water will drip from the bucket. Yizal Mayim, so Yizal means dripping. Dripping means Shuloshin Hamshacha. So the drip is called Yizal, but the source of the drip is called Mazel. Mazel hu amafil umamshich hamshacha hahi. that is the one that makes the drip, the come down the hamshocha that comes down. That's the mazel behind you, and that is haneshama shalamaylo she'eino melubeshes beguf, the soul that is above, which is not dressed up in the body. Kiloi kol haneshama melubeshes. It's not the entire soul dressed in the body. Rak ha'ora v'yispashtus mimena. It is only a ray and an expansion of the soul which dresses up in the body. The whole atzmiyus haneshama, and the entire essence of the soul, choifefes olav milmailo, that hovers upon the person above. V'hu nikro b'shem mazel. So that soul, the upper soul, is called a mazel. Shemimeno, that from it nizel hashpoeh, drips the flow, the spashtus haneshama, to that expansion of the soul, which is hamulbeshes beguf, which is dressed in the body. Ubebechinas maslayu dechozu, and in the level of maslayu, which they could see, noflo aleim charoda gedoyla, over there was a great trembling. Ki Daniel sharoa samare, Daniel, who was able to see the vision, which means that it was captured in the power of his grasp. On him there was no fear and dread. But the men that were with him, they could not, it wasn't in their power of their understanding to contain the vision. Only their soul, the upper level of their soul, the level of the neshama, which is not the body, which is higher than grasping, because hasoga is in the body. Ki hasoga hu mibchinas ispashtus hanefes beguf ha'odom. That is when the soul expands into the body of the person, when it dresses up in the mind, the neshama that in the body dresses up in the mind, and the moyach of their mind, it was too small in order to contain that vision. That's why upon them fell a great fear. The same thing is with the revelation of the Ein Sof in the level of Maslim. Shehu hanishama shalamaylo mislapshus beguf, which is the soul which is higher than dressing up in the body. The fi she'ein gilu zeh boli dehi slapshus. That revelation does not dress up. It cannot be captured and absorbed in the brain of his intellect. That's why on the person, when a person experiences the level of Soviv Klamim, fall upon him a fear and a great dread. But there it says, Inyan Mazlei, that is the level of ayin which is higher chokhmah. V'hashto Osi Shapir. So now it comes good. The b'chinas soiviv yuchol is galis leb'chinas mazel. The level of soiviv is able to reveal to the level of mazel, since mazel is ayin, and that is higher than chokhmah. That is the level of keser, and therefore soiviv is, I think it's keser, but it's higher than chokhmah. It becomes the level of soiviv, and that's why it can reveal itself to the level of mazel. This great fear, which is a fear which is higher than being grasped in the mind, only in a level of mazel, which means it's only the higher level of the neshama experiences that level of yira. Amru. So about that chokhmah, they said, he meant chokhmah and yira. He asked before the question, well, if you don't have chokhmah, you don't have yira, but you need yira to have chokhmah. So he says this is the higher level. Without chokhmah, you don't get the higher level of yira, the subconscious level of chazi that you must lie. For that, you need chokhmah. He says, and that is why Torah, the mile of Torah, because Torah allows us for this higher level of yira. As the pasuk says, "Vayitzavenu Hashem lasis es kol achukim ha'ela liyira chulu." Hashem told us all these mitzvahs to fear. So in order for it to be this revelation in the level of mazlayu, until the extent that there will be a fear and a dread, that comes through the occupation of Torah. Because Torah, the Raisa Mechochma Nafkis, Torah comes from Chochma, and the Eibishter Vavaya Bechochma Yosador Hashem is a Chochma. She'oirin Sobaruchu, Shoirum is Gala Bechochma. The blessed light is revealed in Chochma, which is Koyach Ma, which is the Bechinas Bittel, which is the level of Bittel. She'ein Oirin Sobaruchu Mizgala, Shoirum Mizgala Elav Masha Bottle. Only in what is Bottle. So through Torah, which is the level of Chochma, which has Hashem, because Chochma is Bittel, you are able to be mamshich, that higher level of the higher level of the Ein Sof, to come to the mazel, to create that level of subconscious fear in a higher level than you can grasp. That comes through Torah, and that is why Hashem tells us to come to the higher level. Imen Chochma and Yira to the higher level of Yira. We'll see soon. Lower level of Chochma, you have to have mitzvahs, you have to have the regular mitzvahs, but to the higher level of Chochma, you need the Eisek HaTorah. B'ayim HaShekosum is there, the Parshas, it's kind of the Maskal after Yurim Shom. B'hainu HaTorah, Shehi Chochmosei, when we say Sof Baruch Hu is only Masha Bottle, so that means really Torah. B'hainu HaTorah, that is the Torah, Shehi Chochmosei is Baruch Mamish. The Torah is actually Hashem's wisdom. Hashem and his wisdom is one. As the Rambam writes, he's the knowledge and he's the one that knows. So really that is the union between Hashem and the level of Chochmah. And that's the level of Torah because it's Hashem's Chochmah. The Iker Gilu is there. Where is the main revelation? That's the source of Torah. Over there, in the level of Chochmah Law, in the level of Mazel, over there you have the revelation from the higher level, from the Ein Sof, that over there, from the Chochmah's HaTorah, from the level of Chochmah HaTzilus, basically, from there it drips and he draws down the flow from this revelation, the Ispashtus HaTorah Shalofoneinu Hamalubeshes Begashmis, to expand into the Torah that is before us, which is dressed in physicality, so that we get it also. Behine Klas Kishrin Miskashro and Dobido. We say there are three knots that tied to each other, and then we have Yisrael Beiraisa. Here we're talking about the Torah with the level of Chochmah, with the level of the Ein Sof. But there's also the three knots, the knot that you connect themselves to Torah. So the Yisrael Nikroim, and the Yisrael are called Chayolin Deiraisa, the army, the soldiers of the Torah. In the Zohar, Parshas Bamidbar, Av Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Beis Apostle Su Esarosh Bnei Yisrael Chulo. Why Kisamach Ribui? Why are the Yidden called the armies, the soldiers of the Torah? Because Kisamach Ribui, Oisius HaTorah, the 600,000 letters of the Torah, Heim Shoyresh Shumokir Samach Ribu Nishamas Yisrael. They're the root and the source of the 600,000 souls of Yidden. Kol Ois, each letter is Shoyresh Shumokir Nishama Achas, is the root and the source of one soul. So, therefore, since the Yidden are also so intimately connected to Torah, Biskashron, Beiraisa, our souls comes from the letters of the Torah. So when the Yid learns Torah below, to oirer shoyresh nishmasi l'mayla, so that source of his neshama wakes up, arouses above, b'chinas mazel, level of mazel, lahamshir gilui oirin sobaruchu, hamalubish b'chochma, to bring down the blessed light in sof, which is in chochma hu avshem b'chochma. Into Chochma law, which is the source of Torah. Shasham Yisadoso Shel Anisham Barikodesh. That is where the foundation of the Neshama and the Holy Mountain. So that this revelation should extend, which is the level of Sheresh Lamailo. The tipple of oimo, and on the person learning below will fall through his learning Torah. He arouses that level of the neshama, which is connected to the level of Torah, the Insof, that it should fall upon him. Aim of a fachat b'charote gedoylo mipnei gilu eir havayi insobaruchu, because of the revelation of the light of Hashem, the infinite blessed behi mamesh, b'chinas mazlahu the chazi, in a way of mazlahu that sees.